Well, look what just come in the mail, Gary. It's, of course, the RG28XX. And XX is the series of H700 chipset handhelds that Anbernic has been pumping out for the last, I don't know, 6 months now. This one sort of straddles the line between, is this a micro handheld? Is it a regular handheld? We shall see. What's in the box? Ooh, we got creamsicle, looks like. Well, you have a manual, cord. We don't need to worry about that. Here's the main shebang. This handheld. Ooh, it's smaller than I thought it would be. Oh boy, that's orange. That certainly is orange. Now mine came with, let's see. Mine came with a 64 gigabyte card. It does have 2 SD cards. You can see there. Right now, no custom firmware works because this screen is a rotated screen they got from, I don't know, a cell phone or something. And the rotated part apparently happens before the custom firmware even loads. And you'll see this later when you put FPS or something, or when you try to do a save state, the text is on this side of the screen instead of on the bottom. So until we get some custom firmware on here, I guess the second card is going to be used exclusively for extra ROMs, maybe? I don't know. But it does have those 2 cards. Oh, and headphone jack on the bottom. I like that. We have volume on the side. We have power reset on this side. We have, oh God, really, really clicky triggers. You have 1 USB-C. I'm assuming this is a function button. And HDMI out. That's pretty nice. Oh man, this D-pad is so small and these buttons are so small. Wait a minute. The D-pad, it reminds me a lot of the D-pad from the Nano. It's obviously bigger. This is squishy. This almost has a click to it. And then face buttons. These face buttons, right off the bat, they look like they're a little bit too close to each other. Like you have some real estate. You could have bumped this out a little bit, bumped that over. I don't know. Maybe you won't notice it. Start and select over here in your classic 45-degree angle Nintendo configuration, and it looks like a mono speaker. Let's do some size comparisons. Here we are against the 35XX Plus. Here we are next to the original Miyoo Mini. And the screen, very similar. The Anbernic 28XX is bigger. It's 2.8-inch screen. But yeah, all in all, the whole package is a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. That's what she said. Oh, heck. I'm going to turn her on. Now, as of filming, no custom firmware works on here besides stock. And we know what stock can do. I've done 6, maybe 7 videos on this XX H700 chipset. We know what it can do. We know what it can do with certain firmware. We know what it can do with stock. So I think we're really just going to do a quick first impression on how it feels and how it plays. And right out of the box, it's small. This is extremely pocketable. There's no sticks on it, obviously. Do you see sticks? I don't, but it's very small. This is slick. Put it in your pocket and go. Oh, by the way, it did come with this cool case. I don't know if that's a standard thing or if they just sent this for me. And this case might be one of their better cases. It's not form-fitted. You have about 1/2 inch of room in between there, but it does have a cool little button embossing on the outside of it. Pretty slick little case. And even in the case, this is still very pocketable. Here we have stock firmware. I hate that button noise. Oh God. Button sound off. This is running the XX firmware from April 12th, so it's the newest as of recording. Handheld itself doesn't have Bluetooth, doesn't have Wi-Fi, so you can't chase your Achievos, and if you do plug this into a TV, you're going to have to use this for a controller. Stock experience has gotten considerably better since the original XX Plus, but you still have your game rooms, which are kind of standalone. You have your retro art games, favorites, history, search, app center. Oh, we can do a file manager and music and video. You could put MP3s and movies on here. And ebooks, I guess, if you're a crazy person. The D-pad on here feels really precise, and if I rock back and forth, you see that I'm getting the diagonal input, but I'm not getting left or right. I have to actually press left or right on there. Pretty good. This is, I don't know, this is a pretty good D-pad. The screen itself is a little bit raised. Whoa. Yeah, you see the volume on the side? It's because the screen is rotated. So all of your volume, all of your save states, all of that stuff, it's going to pop up on the side here, which is why custom firmware doesn't work right now. But the screen itself is a little bit raised, which is similar to the 35XX. It's a pretty vibrant screen. For viewing angles, when you get close to 45 degrees, hello, it gets a little muted. but otherwise dead on. It's really good. The screen itself isn't super bright, and it can get pretty dim, so this could be a nice little bedtime handheld, although loud shoulders, so maybe it's not going to be ideal for a night time. As far as your RetroArch hotkeys go, the placement of this is a little bit awkward. So you have to press this menu button up here as your hotkey, and then you can press your face button. But if I want to fast forward, I got to have my finger all the way over here, and then I can toggle on fast forward, which is pointing down because the screen is rotated. Let's check the speakers.
Excuse me. My name is Mika Slayton. I'm the administrative assistant and operator here at Junker headquarters.
Pretty good.
Very pleased to meet you.
I will say one thing as I die. The trigger buttons are kind of hard to get to. Like you have to, shut up. You have to like put your finger almost, can you see that? Almost off of it to hit these shoulder buttons. R2 and L2 I think are easier to hit because they're raised, but the actual shoulder buttons themselves are very recessed, and I don't know. I bet if you had it for a while you get used to it, but for me, it's just in kind of a weird spot. It almost makes you have to hold the controller, I don't know, either all the way out, but then, I don't like that's not going to be comfortable. Or with your index fingers wrapped around and you just kind of have to push into it. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the shoulder buttons on here. That's a bummer. And they didn't really have to do it. Like, this is a deliberate choice. They could have had these both on the same level, right? But they didn't. So L&R on here might be an issue for you. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just manhandling it. It is small. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. So maybe you just have to get used to it. I will say the screen itself is really nice. It's a very high resolution screen considering it's only 2.8 inches. So everything just looks dense. You're getting a lot of color saturation. You're getting a ton of pixel density here, and everything just looks good. Whoa! This isn't the ideal ratio for Game Boy Advance, but it doesn't look too bad. Not too bad. And you do have to make some concessions when you're dealing with a little micro machine like this. Remember micro machines? Remember that guy that would talk real fast? Your 4x3 stuff's like Super Nintendo. Man, this looks really nice. This will also probably be really good for arcade. Although you can use Tate Mode on here, but it just seems like it's going to be cramped as all get out. We'll try it here in a minute, but boy, this is already a small handheld. I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be real cramped. Get out of here. How do I get up there? Here we are in Tate Mode, and I don't like this. I don't like this. Not a fan. So the face buttons don't seem like they do anything. Your D-pad works, right? You have to use this trigger down here. This is awkward. Maybe if you're a huge Tate fan, this will be your jam, but to me it's just awkward. Yeah, I think I would just rather play it sideways. Not for me. Oh man, this is a very, very precise D-pad for these fighting games. I think Iceman's gonna die. Flawless victory. This D-pad is very, very precise for fighting games. I really like it. And the arcade performance is also pretty slick. I really am enjoying this screen and the just the general form factor. My only problem so far is I haven't gotten used to the L and R buttons. I don't know that I ever will. I tell you what, playing Dreamcast on something this small is a little bit crazy. Oof. Haha. Yeah, the fact that I can play Dreamcast on this little 2.8-inch screen, everything is very compact, super pocketable. This is more than novelty. This isn't everyday handheld, but it's also not, GKD Pixel or the Nano. This is kind of a weird in-between. I will tell you, it's probably going to replace a lot of people's Trim UI. I like it a little bit more than I thought I would. Now, this is the first impressions. I don't want to get too in-depth, and I wanted to get this out really quick because this is on sale. It's $44 plus shipping for the first 48 hours, and then I think it bumps up to, 48. So for $55, at least from Anbernic directly right now, it might be cheaper through other retailers in the future. But let's say $55, you can have this. And I think all around, my first impressions are, it's pretty good. My number one issue, my only issue, are these shoulder buttons. They're just hard for me to hit because can you see that? They're perfectly flush with the rest of the case. I think the size of it is playable. It's more than just a novelty. It's playable. I will say that these buttons, I thought that the face buttons would be a little bit cramped. In actual gameplay, they weren't the best, but they weren't as bad as I thought they would be. And D-pad is very, very nice. The function button up here, when you have to press this and press some of these trigger buttons or some of the face buttons, you start holding the handheld in a very weird way. I feel like maybe they could have put function over here, or heck, even on the side above the volume. I think having it up here, if all your functions are mapped to your D-pad, that's one thing. But if you're holding it and then you got to press other buttons, I don't know. You just get your fingers all the way up here and then you're holding it in a super awkward way. Otherwise, it's pretty cool. And it has a 3100 milliamp battery in it, so you can play this sucker for a while. I'm anxious to see what sort of custom firmware we're going to get. I know that brand new Botticera fork, what's it called? Cannoli? I like cannolis. They said as soon as they can get some files from here, they're going to try to make it compatible. I think Stubbs has the inside angle on that, so he's probably going to do a Cannoli Botticera review on this. But my first impressions are pretty good. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. Only problem, really, is these trigger buttons. That's it. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. We will have more reviews on this coming soon, and we'll definitely cover any custom firmware that will come out for this. Cannoli is almost out of the oven. I know it's not what it's called, but I call it what I called it, so deal with it. If you like this little first look, first impressions, then remember to like and subscribe so you'll get notified when all the other videos come out. Stubbs is going to do a firmware video on this. I don't know. We'll probably do a couple more videos on it. This, to me, I feel like this might take off like the original Miyoo Mini did. Something in this size and form factor is really underrepresented outside of the old Trim UI. So this really could take off. So stay tuned. We will see you on the next one. So long. Goodbye.